Scuderia Ferrari is continuing to make gradual yet meaningful progress in the 2025 Formula One World Championship with its SF-25 single-seater. While the final outcome of the British Grand Prix weekend held at the iconic Silverstone Circuit did not fully meet expectations, particularly those set by team principal Frédéric Vasseur, the post-race technical analysis of the data gathered over the weekend reveals a significant and encouraging development. The historic team from Maranello has successfully managed to broaden the effective aerodynamic operating range or aerodynamic map of its Formula One car, unlocking a number of key performance benefits as a direct consequence. First, Ferrari addressed floor-related limitations and aerodynamic consistency. Despite a race weekend that ultimately fell short of the objectives set by the Ferrari engineers and technicians, the Italian team managed to extract and collect valuable and highly relevant technical information about the SF-25. On British soil, under mixed and complex track conditions, the overall operating window of the Maranello-built car appeared to be noticeably wider and more adaptable than in past Grands Prix. This broader working range effectively provides a more flexible and versatile platform for optimizing the on-track setup across a variety of circuit configurations and weather conditions. As a result, the team now has more tools at its disposal when it comes to adjusting and tailoring the car's setup to meet the specific demands of each track. Although Ferrari was not able to fully capitalize on the potential demonstrated during the free practice sessions, where, once again, rival teams such as McLaren, Mercedes, and Red Bull executed their sessions more effectively when it truly mattered most, the signs of progress from the Italian outfit were nonetheless visible. In terms of overall car setup, the engineering group succeeded in identifying a fairly strong and well-rounded compromise, striking a relatively solid balance between high-speed and low-speed cornering performance. Between Friday's free practice sessions and Saturday's qualifying runs, the Maranello technical department and vehicle dynamics team concentrated their efforts on refining performance in the slower speed sections of the Silverstone Circuit, which are areas of the track where the existing setup configuration had introduced performance compromises. While finding the ideal balance remains a challenge, especially when compared to the top-tier execution demonstrated by teams such as Red Bull and McLaren, once the SF-25 single-seater was able to reach the correct setup window, the car proved to be significantly more competitive across multiple track sectors. As part of its ongoing and continuous development process for the SF-25, the Ferrari engineers and technicians are also preparing for an important rear suspension testing session, which will take place at the Mugello circuit in Italy next week. Within this context, it becomes even more essential to break down and evaluate what worked well and what areas still require improvement during the British Grand Prix weekend. This analysis places particular emphasis on the car's outright performance in terms of qualifying pace, especially during the third segment of qualifying known as Q3, which continues to serve as one of the most reliable benchmarks for evaluating single-lap pace in Formula One. A genuine technical step forward is clearly visible on track for the Maranello team. A detailed review of the Q3 flying lap reveals that Ferrari has made genuine progress. At Turn 3, a corner that follows two flat-out high-speed sections, Charles Leclerc braked approximately 1/10 of a second later than McLaren's Oscar Piastri. This small delay was primarily due to a slight shortfall in the Ferrari's top-end straight-line speed. Nevertheless, Charles Leclerc entered the corner more efficiently, taking a significantly larger portion of the inside curb, which enabled him to maintain better cornering momentum. Furthermore, the steering angle used by Charles Leclerc in this section was noticeably smaller compared to other drivers, highlighting the SF-25's improved agility and front-end responsiveness. However, during the directional change into Turn 4, the story was somewhat different. Although the British car, the McLaren MCL-39 driven by Oscar Piastri, struggled slightly to find the exact apex, it still managed to stay a few centimeters closer to the inside curb compared to the SF-25. During the final free practice session, the SF-25 had been able to take full advantage of this curb, but in qualifying conditions, it failed to replicate the same precision. The iconic Beckett's complex, located in the second sector of the Silverstone track, clearly highlighted some of the most significant technical differences between the Ferrari SF-25 and the McLaren MCL-39. Based on telemetry data and onboard images, Charles Leclerc's car followed a much tighter line into the initial corners of the sequence, This allowed the Ferrari driver to use the inner red curb more aggressively and effectively. On the other hand, Oscar Piastri completely avoided this curb and opted for a wider line, which ultimately restricted his ability to open up the following corner for an optimal exit. In the second comparative analysis, it was evident that the Ferrari SF-25 once again managed to maintain a tighter racing line, consistently making use of a larger portion of the curbing. Over the course of the entire Beckett sequence, the McLaren MCL39 lost approximately 1/10 of a second relative to the Ferrari SF-25, a highly significant figure when considering that these are high-speed, high-downforce corners. Such corners demand exceptional aerodynamic efficiency and maximum ground effect load generated by the car's floor and underbody. This finding is a central and crucial part of the analysis, as it clearly underscores how Ferrari has succeeded in taking a tangible step forward by expanding the aerodynamic working range of its SF-25 chassis. In other words, thanks to the updated floor that was first introduced at the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, the Maranello-built car was able to generate more stable and usable aerodynamic downforce across a broader spectrum of driving conditions at Silverstone. This is an important technical achievement and a source of satisfaction for the team's aerodynamic department and vehicle development group. However, there are still minor performance gaps at low speeds and persistent tire degradation issues, so it is also important to evaluate the final part of the Silverstone track, and more specifically, Turn 16. This is the same section that triggered a frustrated radio outburst from Charles Leclerc during the race. At this particular point of the circuit, the McLaren MCL39 driven by Oscar Piastri demonstrated superior rotation and mid-corner agility. The Australian was able to attack the inside curb with greater aggression and precision, gaining valuable traction as a result. Due to this, the Ferrari SF-25 lost time during the corner exit acceleration phase. This was partly because of ongoing issues with the front left tire, which continued to suffer from degradation and temperature management problems. Generally speaking, there appears to be untapped potential from the SF-25 in low-speed corners. However, this potential is frequently sacrificed due to setup decisions made to achieve a more balanced and competitive overall car configuration for medium and high-speed sections of the track. The British Grand Prix at Silverstone provided a valuable confirmation that Ferrari is moving in the right direction, particularly in terms of improving aerodynamic efficiency, downforce consistency, and adaptability. With the next round scheduled to take place at the challenging and high-speed Spa-Francorchamps circuit in Belgium, Ferrari will have another opportunity to validate the ongoing technical developments and pursue additional performance gains as the 2025 Formula One season continues.